Hello, fourth graders. I hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. I have King Midas and the Golden Touch here. We started this traditional literature book yesterday, and we are continuing with our fiction unit. Remember, fiction is fake, and this genre of fiction is traditional literature. It is a myth that has a moral or a lesson that the main character learns throughout the story. We also know that this book is told by Charlotte Craft. She did not make up the story because this is a myth that has been passed down from generation to generation. But it is her version that someone told her that she decided to turn into a book. So you might have read a similar version of King Midas and the Golden Touch because it has been around for a very long time. Now, let's quickly retell what has happened in the story so far. We know our main character, King Midas, is a king who loves gold. He loves gold more than anything except for his daughter, Aurelia. He is also very kind, that we discovered that in the beginning, and he finds an old man in the rose garden, and instead of kicking him out or taking him prisoner, he feeds him and entertains him for the night. And when he is in his secret chamber, admiring all of his wealth, the secret or mysterious stranger comes and grants him one wish for being so kind to him. And King Midas decides that that wish is going to be for everything he touches to turn to gold. And where we left off yesterday was the next morning when he realizes that his wish, in fact, came true. We can see from this illustration, he is in his palace or his castle, and everything that he has come in contact with so far has turned to gold as he is walking down the beautiful stairwell. And a lot of you predicted that. So we are going to read to find out what happens next with our main character, King Midas. Before we start that, though, we are going to be understanding the character today and doing an activity that goes with it. I have done part of the assignment using what we know from the beginning, and you are going to do the other part of the assignment at the end based on how our character changed or grew as the story continued. So here I have a quick chart that goes over some of the things we know about our character. So a fact, what we know about our character of King Midas is that Midas loves gold more than anything except for his daughter. What are the actions that support this statement? Something that he did to show that he loves gold. He sits in his secret chamber and he admires his wealth and his gold. That is an action. That's something that he did. Dialogue, something that he said to support his love for gold. When he was talking to the mysterious stranger, he said, "Perhaps if everything I touched would turn to gold," when he was asking for his wish. That still supports his love for gold. And then my thoughts and feelings about our character so far are that I think he is greedy and he continues to want more and more without being satisfied. Now, I also think he's kind, but what they've mainly talked about and shown me throughout the story so far is that he is very greedy and he wants more and more. So that is for the first part of the book. I want you to be thinking of these items as we continue to read the second half of the book because you are going to be doing this again to show how our character has changed. So let's keep reading King Midas and the Golden Touch. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that you can see and follow along with me. The roses glistened with the morning dew, and their scent gently perfumed the air. The smell was put into the air. Midas went from bush to bush, touching each of the blossoms. How happy Aurelia would be when she saw the roses of gold, he exclaimed. He never noticed how the perfect golden blossoms drooped and pulled down the bushes with their weight, because now they were very heavy. You can see him over here. Soon it was time for breakfast. Midas sat down as Aurelia entered the room, clutching or holding a golden rose, her face wet with tears. Father, father, a horrible thing has happened, she said, sobbing. I went to the garden to pick you a flower, but all the roses have become hard and yellow. They are golden roses now, my love, and they will never fade. But I miss their scent, their smell, cried Aurelia. I'm sorry, my dear. I thought only to please you. Now we can buy all the roses you could ever wish for. Midas smiled at his daughter to comfort her. Please wipe your eyes. We'll have breakfast together. So here she is holding the rose that is now drooping over. Midas lifted a spoonful of porridge, that's like oatmeal, to his mouth, but as soon as the porridge touched his lips, it turned into a hard golden lump. So not only does everything he touches with his hand turn to gold, but anything that touches any part of his body is also turning to gold. Perhaps if I eat quickly, he thought, puzzled, and snatched a fig from a bowl of fruit. It turned to solid gold before he could take a bite. He reached out for some bread, but his fingertips had no sooner brushed against the loaf than it, too, turned to gold. He tried cheese and even a spoonful of jam, but all to no avail, meaning none of it worked. How am I to eat? He grumbled. What's wrong, father? Asked Aurelia. Nothing, he answered, wishing not to worry her. Nothing at all, my child. But Midas began to wring his hands. If he was hungry now, he imagined how much more hungry he would be by dinner. And then he began to wonder, will I ever eat again? So it looks like Midas is starting to realize that his golden touch might not be so wonderful at all. You can see that he has upset Aurelia with the roses, and then that he is not able to eat because everything he puts in his mouth is turning to gold. So he's definitely starting to see the downfalls of his wish. Aurelia, who had been anxiously watching her father all this time, slipped out of her chair and went to comfort him. Please don't cry, she said. Midas smiled and took her hand in his. But suddenly he recoiled in horror, meaning he stopped in horror. I want you to think, why would he stop in horror? And I want you to look at this picture. He's very scared. His daughter stood before him, an expression of concern frozen on her face, a teardrop clinging to her golden cheek. His cursed touch had turned Aurelia into a lifeless statue. Midas howled in anguish and tore at his chair. So it's almost like when he was crying really, really loud. He couldn't bear to look at the statue, but neither could he bear to leave her side. So what do you think has just happened to her? From what it seems, she has too turned to gold. And I want you to take a look at this powerful image. He is howling or crying in anguish. He is in so much pain, thinking about how he has turned his daughter into a lifeless gold statue. You can see everyone in the background sobbing and crying as well. Wonder what he's going to do. Well, King Midas, are you not the happiest of men? Midas wiped his eyes, saw the mysterious stranger standing before him once again. So it looks like the stranger has come back to check in and see how things are going. "Oh no, I am the most miserable of men," he cried. "What? Did I not honor your wish for the golden touch?" "Yes, but it is a curse for me now," Midas wept, that means cried. "All that I truly loved is now lost to me." "Do you mean to say," asked the young man, "that you would prefer a crust of bread or a cup of water to the gift of the golden touch?" "Oh, yes," Midas exclaimed. "I would give up all the gold in the world if only my daughter were restored to me, so if only she were brought back." "Then make your way to the river that flows past the borders of your kingdom. Follow the river upstream until you reach its source." That's where it starts. "As you cleanse yourself in the foaming spring, the golden touch will be washed away. Take with you a vase so that you may sprinkle water over any object you wish to change back to its original form." With these words, the young man vanished or went away. So this is a big character change. Our main character, King Midas, has done a big shift in his personality. At the beginning, we saw how greedy he was and how he wanted everything to be gold, and he didn't care how much he had, he wanted more. And now we hear him say, "I would give up all the gold in the world if only my daughter were restored to me." And he would rather be poor and have nothing instead of having a life of gold without his daughter. So I want you to be thinking, what is a character trait that you would give Midas now? We said he was greedy before. What is a trait that you would give him now? So it looks like he's going to go to the river and hopefully wash all of this away. There's a great illustration. Here's Midas going to the source of the river where it starts, or the stream. Hope it works. As soon as Midas reached the spring, he plunged or dove in without removing even his shoes. As the water washed the gold from his clothes, he noticed a pretty little violet growing wild along the banks and gently brushed his fingers against it. When he saw the delicate flower continue to bend with the breeze, he was overjoyed. So he was very happy because he touched the flower and it didn't turn to gold. Midas made his way back to the palace, where the first thing he did was sprinkle water over his beloved Aurelia. No sooner did the water touch her cheek than she was restored or brought back to normal. Laughing at her father's game and remembering not a moment of being a golden statue. Together, the two went out to the rose garden. Midas sprinkled each frozen rose with a little river water, and Aurelia clapped her hands when she saw them cured with the golden blight. So she is she's seen that they're cured, they're back to their original form, and she is very, very happy. Joyfully then, Midas restored all else he had transformed, except for a single rose, kept forever as a reminder of the golden touch. So I want you to think about, why did he keep one rose of gold for the rest of his life? Why do you think he wants to be reminded or remind himself of the golden touch? I think it's because he wants to make sure that he never goes back to his greedy ways or thinks about wanting gold more than anything else again, because he has seen what happened when he had the golden touch and how it took away everything that was important to him. And that is the lesson in this story. That's the moral that our main character has learned, is that some things are not as precious as wealth or money. Your family is important, and the people that you love are important. And there's no amount of money that can compare to that. So that is the lesson that he has learned. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to show you the assignment that you are going to be doing. So now, remember, I did the first part of the story, what we knew about him in the beginning, and now you're going to do what we know about King Midas now, kind of how he changed or grew as the story went on. So I want you to tell me, what do you now know about King Midas, our main character? What do you know about him now at the end of the story? And then I want you to tell me something that he did to show what you know. So for example, we know that King Midas doesn't want everything to turn to gold anymore. He wants everything to go back to normal. I want you to think about something that he does to make everything go back to normal. What is an action? What is something that he does? Now, I have included the dialogue from the book in here because I know that you all don't have the book with you. So the dialogue is, he says, "I would give up all the gold in the world if only my daughter were restored to me." And then I just want to know, what are your thoughts and your feelings about how he grew as a character, how he changed? And then make sure you scroll down because I have 3 questions at the bottom. Number 5, does King Midas stay the same or change by the end of the tale? You have to answer. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence. You can say he stays the same, or you can say he changes. What moral or lesson does King Midas learn at the end of the story? And we talked about that when we finished the book. What is the lesson he learns? Remember, moral and lesson are synonyms. They mean the same thing. And what do you think for number 7? What do you think it means to have the golden touch? I want your personal opinion. There's really no right or wrong answer for this. It does need to go with the book, and I want to know what your thoughts are. So you are doing this for the end of the story. This can be found on day 31. It's understanding a character. Okay, if you have any questions or concerns, come to the live reading session at 11:15, and we're going to go into more detail with this. Remember, this is not due until Sunday night, but as you know, we will not be available after 3:30 on Friday to help you, or the weekend. All right, 4th graders, I will see you guys later.